Okay, let's get the show on the road. Hey, everybody, it's Tuesday, September 12th, day after 9/11. And I'm sure most of you, including myself, remember where you were, what you were going through. Um, I I have twin sisters that were in the military, and at that time I could have sworn they were going to war. I'm like, okay, they're being shipped overseas, but I digress. Alan was joking that I'm wearing green for Aaron Rodgers, but it's even though it says the Bucks, it's for the Packers. Um, I don't know how many of you guys are into football and to see what happened last night with Aaron Rodgers. Um, I expected more on my Facebook timeline as far as memes and things like that go. Um, I I want to clarify that even though I'm upset that Aaron left Green Bay. I mean, and he followed in the footsteps of Brett Favre too. And Brett Favre did the same thing. Um,
Oh,
I
where did Brett Favre go?
Brett Favre went to, I don't know, did he go to the Vikings first and then the Jets?
He went to the Jets too?
Yeah, I think so. I thought
Uh,
so. Um,
the kiss of death.
I know, right? Exactly. And I would not wish an injury like that upon anybody. There's talk of career ending and for a normal guy, mid 20s, maybe early 30s, that may be okay to recover from. But Rodgers is 39 and he's not a ultra healthy Tom Brady 39 or whatever. So it's going to be quite, understanding Rodgers on who he is. He's super competitive. He's super, I need football. I think he's going to try. But I think it may be a little bit too difficult for his stanchion and where he is in his age. Um, and when they're talking, and this goes to show, I don't know if you remember, Alan, but when we took the Lambeau tour and we went down on the field, they spent a little bit of time talking about the grass and how important the grass is and how much they care for the grass. And now they're kind of blaming artificial turf for Rodgers and his issues. So yeah, and it's funny too because everybody here is saying, oh, the Jets, maybe they dodged a bullet because they don't get to see Aaron's drama and his off-field antics kind of thing, or his locker room kind of thing. So we'll see. Yeah, I feel terrible for the Jets because they built their entire season, their entire focus around Aaron Rodgers, and Aaron even brought Lazard, he brought Cobb with him. So yeah, so anyway, I'm just thrilled with how Jordan Love played for the Packers. I was a little nervous at times. A couple of his throws, I had to hold my breath. But we did well. It's the Bears. So now it's the Packers and the Lions sitting at the top of the NFC Central, right? 1-0. So yeah. Let's and I think I'm gonna let Alan talk about Oliver Velez a little bit in a little bit. His weekend in Miami and hopefully he remembers and hopefully he's taking notes as far as I don't know if you want to call them tidbits or his rules, is basically his premise on how he trades or rules that gets him in and out of trades. But first I wanted to talk about Target. A friend of mine texted me yesterday and he found this using the options volume app. Target was displaying 145, 200, 300 times the call volume or times the put volume. So like there were 300 calls, or there was $300 in puts for every dollar in calls, which is crazy. And I still, and we saw it again today. I still don't quite get what this position's trying to do, because it's a spread. It's not like a single directional option order. It's a, they're in multiple strikes for this week. So let me share my screen, and I may have to bounce around a little bit. So first, let's look at target. So this is target on the 3-month chart. They're sloping down. Their 20 SMA is sitting at 125. This right here is a critical level, this 120.75. If we break that, and it looks like we will, you have to go back 2-year, here's the 5-year chart. So this 120 level is right about here, 120.75. And if you notice, several years ago, we broke above it, we traded on it, and then we had this massive run up. Or if this looks like a head and shoulders, boop, boop, boop. So if we break this level, we're target's in trouble. And we've seen it with other retailers. We've seen retail taking a hit. Back to school is over, so you don't have that back to school shopping. So let me switch now. Let me first go show you how I found it. Then I'll get into the option chain. So here's Thinkorswim, and this is kind of hard to read. I'm going to try to blow this up. Well, so if I look, there are 17,610 calls to 25,965 puts. So it's skewed on the put side already. And then I went and I looked at this biggest trade today, which were the September 15th, 145 puts. And there were 3,000 of them at a strike, at a price of 22.18. So 3,000 at a strike price of 22.18. Now, if I look, this trade was part of a spread, and it was done at 1335.06. So if I go down to 1335.06, it's this block of trades right here. The 150 put, the 160 put, the 140, 150. So they're all across these deep in the money puts. And this, 22.18 an option, 32.18 an option. These are $1 million positions, and I cannot figure out which one they're buying and which one they're selling. So long story short, that's how I found it. So let me go back to Fidelity. And share this. So if I go look at Fidelity's option chain,
Hey, Brian?
yeah.
Yeah, I must have lost you going through too many screens.
So
Yeah, you were flipping like crazy.
I know, right? Yeah. So here's Target's option chain. Now they're sitting at 122, which is right here. So these are in the money calls. These are in the money puts. You need to scroll down. And if you notice, there is some volume right around at the money, 3,100 at the 124 strike. Those are just out of the money calls. All of these that are stacked up just out of the money and just in the money. But then these super huge positions, 135, 140, 145, 155, 78, 7,600, 5,800, that they're either buying or selling. And like I said, these are $1 million positions that they put on. So I'm used to doing credit spreads, but I don't quite understand being so far in the money. I don't quite understand the position. I would hope, looking at this chart, that they're bearish. And I think this is one to put on your radar to kind of look to
Can you
see.
put on a longer time spread on that?
Yeah, so this, like I said, and actually let me draw a line. How do I draw a line? At this level. Okay. So if this 120.75 breaks, you need to go out 5 years for us to revisit that level. That level hasn't been breached since 2020. So 3 years ago. So that's why, like I said, this is quite the bearish setup here.
Now, are those contracts this week, or where are they at?
Yeah, they are.
So, I mean, they're really looking. I mean, so first of all, just kind of put time frames going together. 14th is coming up. What is that? Is that tomorrow?
Let's see, today's the 12th, right?
Yeah, so you got
14th is
tomorrow
Thursday.
should be a bad day. The 14th should be a bad day. It's the day before,
Yeah.
the 15th. I'm telling you, we're in some crazy times now. I would not be long the market. I have everything on my thing. No long positions this week, other than oil.
Well, you mentioned long. If I go look at Goldman Sachs, one of the, do I dare call it Jewish stocks? They were up almost 2% today.
Yeah, but Google wasn't.
Yeah, Google was down. So yeah, I expect Google to continue to fall. Hopefully Goldman Sachs, people take profit. And again, this is a bullish engulfing candle, but I would expect some to take profit, and that to be either, a sell-off in the afternoon. Tomorrow's Wednesday afternoon sell-off, and sell-off into the week. So, yeah, I continue to trade the SPY. I made a little bit on both ends, bearish and bullish. It was somewhat of a narrow day. I go to the 5-minute. So it took a little bit to fall, and then we basically exploded above, and then we dropped back down below. So quite the jockey day on the SPY. I think, let me see here. Let me see. So the DAX was down 0.5%. We were barely down, but the S&P was down 0.5%. Or the Dow was down, barely down. NASDAQ down 1%. They've been quite choppy as well. I know Tesla had a good day yesterday. I don't know what they did today. I think is that the 3 month? Yeah. So yeah, like I said, they had a very bullish day yesterday. Bearish sold off, but we're still kind of bullish on that. Um, so yeah, I'm gonna leave it like it is. I don't know if you guys have thoughts on Target. Please share them. I'm curious, and I'm very curious on those big in the money put positions. So let me turn it over to Alan. I'm very curious on what he got from Oliver Velez, who actually wrote a book, right? Wrote a book with
Many books.
someone. Yeah,
He's written quite a few books and
yeah,
videos and trading, and he runs iPhone Traders.
yeah.
Um, so I'll dip into that, but let me go into a couple things. One of the people have been worried about some of the stocks. Why haven't they have dropped? Um, I've been kind of intrigued. There's a couple of them that make no sense. Goldman Sachs today made no sense. You had GM being up $1, makes no sense. Everybody knows they're going on strike. So kind of interesting how that stuff works. But with that said, Google was down $1.67. That's one of the worst days Google's had in years. Well, months.
Hmm.
And so was that a Jewish high holiday trade? Could have been. I was short Google, did well with it. I think the one that's the biggest surprise is Raytheon. I went ahead and I went long Raytheon on Monday, and I'm thinking to myself, oh my God, it was $200. I'm like, oh my God, if I would have gone short the other way, oh my God, it would have been $20,000 for $200.
Yeah.
Crazy the drop it
Well, and I
had.
know that they got some downgrades today, and that's what kind of pushed them down, I believe.
Well, I'm thinking that you're probably right, because basically that's why, um, and I'm kind of bummed I didn't announce the trade, but I gave the trade Raytheon 87, 88 calls. Um, I said to go small because I like to see what's going to happen. I like to be in the trade. I should have known better, because when it broke 85 and went down to 84, it was definitely extremely bearish, extremely past the 200-day moving average, past the 20-day moving average. I mean, it had nothing stopping it. It just dropped like a rocket.
Right.
And I went ahead and was lucky enough to get in a good position. Didn't pay that much for it, and I cashed up for over $6,000 today. That was a good trade. I like those kind of trades. But yeah.
Well,
Um,
and it did rally
Oliver
at the end of
Velez.
the day.
Yeah. Oliver Velez, genius of all geniuses. I don't trade his style, but I do trade his style. And the stuff that I showed you, basically, he's showing you if you want to day trade, you can day trade off of a 5 minute. But what he's saying is that you got to look for patterns. And when the patterns are there, you got to go ahead and literally be all in, because he calls it an all in trade, 100%. So basically, for example, let's go ahead and say, and he doesn't even use the 5 minute rule, but he really does. He just doesn't even know it. Is that, let's say we're at 940. Um, he set the limits at the 5 minute high and low. He would set the limit, and then if it went above it, then he goes long. But what he does, which is kind of unique, is he will only be in a trade for at the maximum 20 minutes.
Hmm.
So what he's looking to go is to get 3 green. So if he's going long, he's looking for 3 green bars. And then after you hit the 3 green bars, you're out of the trade.
And also,
So
doesn't he say that if you go long and you get a red candle, you're out? Like if you
that's correct
enter,
too.
yeah. So he's pretty much in and out and in and out and in and out. He's like flipping constantly. Or not flipping, but like, yeah, very short term, very like, I'm not going to let this play out another more than one candle kind of thing. If it doesn't go my way, I'm out.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. But what it is that what he's doing, and this is what I've been talking about. How did I get into the Raytheon put trade in the first place? It was on the 5-minute app. If you don't have the 5-minute app, you got to get the 5-minute app. And so that was one of the reasons I didn't post the trade, because I'm like, it's right there on the 5-minute app. All you got to do is follow the 5-minute app. And Raytheon went red on yesterday. I got in on the 5-minute app trade. And then I just held it overnight because I was waiting for a couple downgrades. I didn't hear about the downgrades. Brian said there was. I waited 5-6 minutes, and literally in less than one day, I got $6,000. So those are the trades I like.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. So
But the key thing is that Oliver Velez taught me one thing. It doesn't matter what your system is. Let me say it again. It doesn't matter what your system is. What matters is that you have rules and you follow your rules. Same concept. Whether you're trading the 1 minute, 3 minute, 5-minute bar, he likes the 1 minute bar. That's his, peanut butter. That's his carrot, He likes the 1 minute bar. And what he does is he'll buy like 100,000 shares of Apple. Well, how much does that cost? I mean, I've seen him trade $5-10 million in a trade. I'm like, that's crazy.
yeah.
It's just looking for patterns. I learned this from my other, guy that does the penny stocks. I think it's Tim Waller or something. I'm trying to think. Tim Sykes. Thank you.
Yeah.
So what it is the reason I say that is that what I learned from him, you have to look for a pattern. When you see the pattern, you jump. I developed a pattern. It's called the 5-minute rule. As long as you constantly follow the 5-minute rule, you always do well. Now, what he said, and this is what everybody else, and this is one thing I try to bring up, where everybody gets wrong. Now, what he does, I'm going to show you. And if you guys are watching this is good stuff here. He buys the stock. Ooh, I don't think you're going to see it in that background. Let me go ahead and get off of that background because this is good stuff here. Let me go to the backgrounds. And you're like, wow, that's pretty amazing. You can do that. All right, this is it right here. Your buy point should be right there. And what he says, he doesn't care how long that bar is. Your sell point is 1 penny under the 5-minute bar. Now he does the 1 minute bar, but I don't give a heck what it is. But in our game, on options, you can't do. I tried doing options in 1 minute, 2 minutes. I couldn't do it. It's too fast. It moves too quick. But that's what he does. So when someone tells me or Brian, oh, I lost money on trading, I'm like, there's your stop right there. How'd you lose? Oh, no, I held it. No, it doesn't work that way.
Yeah, right. Yeah, you have to respect your stops, and I think one of my major issues is that when it breaks that, then I flip over to hope and thinking that it's going to recover, and it more times than not doesn't. So yeah, you
So now
definitely
what he says, which is kind of interesting, and I'll tell you that the strategy. It's a very interesting strategy. You add on every green bar. Let's say if you're going on the high side, you add on every green bar there is.
Hmm.
So you add there, you add there, and then on the third bar you sell. So what you're doing is you're pyramiding. And so what it is that when you hit the third green bar, no matter how much money you've made, you get out. So I learned that from Oliver Velez. You can do the same thing. Like, so this morning when I got when the market opened, I waited for it. I'm like, and that takes patience because I could have went ahead and sold my Raytheon position for $4,000. I'm like, no, I waited for the 5-minute bar to develop, just like Oliver Velez taught me. And so when I waited for it to develop, what it is that I stayed with it as long as that I felt comfortable with it. I got out almost at the top, almost at the best. And then the thing is that it went a little bit better, but it wasn't that much. The high of the day was $1.30. I mean, to me, between $6,000 or 6,400, I'm fine with that. But but the key thing is that you got to have rules, you got to have parameters, you got to have stops, and that's how you do it. Now, his philosophy is you want to be 70% green, and then as long as you go ahead and protect and get small losses, you'll always win at this game.
right,
So,
exactly.
yeah.
Mm.
Excellent. Well, Brian,
Cool.
I'm going to let you go. You got anything going on tonight?
Don't think so. Yeah, not that I know of.
Are you still doing that vigil for your guy there?
Trying to think. I don't
I
think
don't know if I don't know if your football is going to be worth more or less now.
yeah. Right. Yeah. Yeah, no kidding. There's a funny thing that there's a bar in Milwaukee that had a special that if you have to sign up 15 minutes before the game starts, and as long as Rodgers started the game and then the Jets lost, the bar would cover your tab. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Um, so had they lost, I think it would have qualified. That first game would have qualified, but now they're SOL because Rodgers isn't going to start anymore. So yeah, but yeah, it was a good promotion. I mean, and they had certain rules like you had to like register beforehand, didn't cover food, um, you had to stay there the whole game. So yeah,
So
yeah.
I don't know if you realize he had a 3-year, $112 million contract.
Wow. I heard that if he wants to come back, the Jets are open arms for him next year. So yeah,
Yeah.
that's just
Yeah, he's got a 2-year, $75 million guaranteed, whether he gets injured or not.
wouldn't that be nice? Yes.
You know what? I mean, at that 39 years old, I mean, you got to think, it's like we did the same thing with Cabrera in Detroit. I mean, that's just too old. I mean, you're just
Yeah.
asking for, I mean, why spend that kind of money? Why spend, $112 million, for someone that's going to be 42 years old? I mean, it
Yeah.
just doesn't make logical sense.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. And like I said, he may be too old to recover from this, and that was the gamble that the Jets took. And Unfortunately, I don't think it's going to work out for him.
It seemed like he forced that whole thing. But let's talk about it just for a second, because I know we both got to go. What about Green Bay? I mean, do they need Rodgers? I mean, God, I thought they played a hell of a game in Chicago.
Yeah, I was quite impressed. And was it AJ Dillon, I think, that ran? As soon as they started using him in the second quarter or the second half, that kind of exploded Green Bay's game. And I think because he had that run and then had hamstring issues, but he said that it's not that bad. It's not a pull or not a tear. So yeah, I was quite happy with the way that they played and the way that that game turned out. So because they came off, I want to say their opening drive, even they scored a touchdown, or they were ahead from the kind of from the beginning. So yeah, we'll see. It'll be interesting. I think we'll be positive as far as better than 8-8. But it'll be interesting to see who we play and how good other teams are, kind of thing. So yeah. So, and you guys did. I'm trying to remember you guys because you guys did well as well. It was close, right, until the end.
Well, the funny thing is that I so knew the Lions were going to win. I would have put 100 grand on that game, and someone told me that the Lions had the better odds to win. I mean, I just know from following the Lions that this quarterback Goff, if he's healthy, I mean, we're gonna go to the Super Bowl. That's just the way it is. I don't even know why. Maybe I should have put in. It's probably too late now. I mean, after they beat Kansas City, is probably like the odds went down big time or whatever. But God, I would have loved to put at least a couple grand on the Lions going to the Super Bowl because I think they are. I'd be in shock if they didn't, just because that team is that good. I mean, it's just they're that good this year. So they're playing I don't know who. Oh, they're playing Seattle for the next game. I don't know if that's a Sunday or not. I don't think so. You got me going now. Let me look.
It's gonna be a fun season. I think I really do. I think it's gonna be. Now you're making me.
Oh shoot! It is this Sunday. Let me put my. I'm putting in. I don't know if I'll get this lucky, but I'm putting in. I'm putting in my order for my tickets right now. So let me see here.
Well, and
The
then I think September. So not this next weekend, but the weekend after. You're coming to Green Bay,
oh wow.
September 28th. That's the night game too. Is that a Sunday night? September 28th. Yeah, a Thursday night game.
Yeah, I just put my order in. Thanks for reminding me. We'll see how that goes. I'm very fortunate that I have connections with the Lions front office, so we'll see. The so you're so that following Sunday, I'll be in Boca, so I won't be around. Or I'd entertain going to the game in Green Bay.
Yeah, it would be cool.
Yeah, yeah, I
have
enjoyed going there with Brian, so it was a lot of fun. So
yeah, the tour. Yeah,
yeah, it was fun. I liked it. And we didn't even know Aaron Rodgers was leaving when we went on that tour.
right, exactly. Yeah, he was still in a cave trying to decide what he was going to do, I think.
Well, I think he made his decision what he was going to do. It was just a matter of was it going to like work for him. I mean, he was been trying to get out of Green Bay for whatever reason. He had a fight with that front office, and he was moving to New York Jets, and and that's all there was to it. It's just putting together,
Yeah.
So
Well, and I think that's why people are so upset because he sort of put himself before the team, and I think he felt he didn't get the support that he needed, like the supporting players that he needed. You get sort of this community, and it's really big in Green Bay, and it's really big in Milwaukee with the Bucks as well. Giannis is still at the point of like he's part of a team rather than, this is my show kind of thing. And I think Rodgers kind of, I don't want to say his ego got the best of him, but I think he felt he was more important than the team, because he was
yeah,
to the point of like not listening to Matt LaFleur, to the coach,
hmm
saying, okay, I'm running this show and kind of thing. And that's, yeah, once you get to that point, it's like, there's the door kind
yeah.
of thing.
Well,
Yeah.
I'm gonna run, Brian. So I'll chat with you later. Okay.
Okay, doke. Sounds good.
All right. We'll see you.
Yep. Bye now.
Bye now.